Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the Loose Collector, the Crypt, the Monster Hyde. This is basically a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type creature, a giant, oversized, strong monster. Now, I got this figure because I thought he might work good in my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection, or maybe my Mattel DC Universe Classics as Blockbuster. That's a Batman villain. Either way, it's a cool figure. I got this from Big Bad Toy Store. Finally arrived today, so let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, the top, Loose Collector, the Crypt, the Monster Hyde, Loose Collector. Here he is in the front, big, giant, monstrous figure. One side of the package, here he is, the shirt off, Monster Hyde. Other side, shirt on, looks like no hair. On the back side, here's the big, hulking beast. Looks like we have a bunch of different display options. At the bottom, there is a barcode. Don't really think it's going to help anybody though. So with no further ado, let's open it up. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He comes with a total of 2 heads, a total of 4 hands, a hat, and a removable jacket. This is exactly how it came in the package, no head attached. Let's go and pop on one of the heads before we check him out. Alright. Now we got the main head attached, the one that has the hair on it. So, this is Mr. Hyde, the monster. Pretty much Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type thing. I think it's awesome. Really makes me think of Blockbuster, which is a classic Batman rogue. It's been reimagined several times over the years. That being said, let's take a look at him. Very heavy, by the way. Start with his face here. He's angry, teeth exposed, hair a little bit wild, a little bit in disarray. Paint job is fantastic. Look at the hair. We got brown, we got black. Nice job there. He's got some facial hair, teeth, gums, kind of nasty looking. Then we have his jacket. You can see a good amount of texture in there. It's made of a soft material. It comes right off. You can see all the difference with veins and muscles. My God, look at those back muscles. As we go further down, single jointed elbow, ton and ton of sculpt and detail, veins and muscles. And the paint job is good. It's a nice wash, different shading. It's not all just one color. Giant fisted hands. His shorts or pants, they also have a little bit of texturing going on there. Nice paint job. Green, black, ripped shorts. It is double jointed knees. Giant feet. Massive toe articulation. Very good looking figure. I feel really nice about him. Sometimes you get a figure like this, it's not quite what you expected. For my purposes, using for Blockbuster, he is fantastic. He's giant. He's going to be looming over the McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. The paint, the sculpt, it's all top notch. I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing so far. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Very well done. Looks excellent. Good job, Loose Collector. And here he is, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories, and let's start off with his hands. Now let's check out his hands. He has a total of 4 of them, 2 left hands and 2 right hands. Here he is, with his first pair of hands. These are his open hands. Then, with his second pair of hands, these are his fists. Now let's take a look at his heads. He has 2 of them. They're both angry. One has a full head of hair. One has his teeth sort of clenched together. The other one is bald and has his mouth wide open. Here he is with his first head. This one has a full head of hair. And then his second head. This one's bald. He's got his mouth open and a scar on his left eye. Next we have his hat. It's green. Sculpt is good. It's got a nice amount of detail in it. Paint job. It's got some little scratches, some dings. Here's the head with a full head of hair with the hat on. It just sort of bounces on top. I think it's only meant for the other head. And here's his second bald head. The hat fits perfect on this. Now for his jacket, or at least the little pieces of it left. It kind of busts out of this thing. It's ripped to shreds. It's made of a softer material. It's got a little give to it. It's got some holes in it. Good texturing. Good paint. Here's Blockbuster, or I guess Mr. Hyde without the coat. And then with the coat or jacket piece attached. This is my ideal look for him. This is exactly why I bought him. He looks pretty much exactly like I hoped he would. has met and surpassed all of my expectations. And then here he is with his alternate head. He's got the coat and the hat on. Another pretty cool look for him. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height, and he is a big boy. From bottom to the top of his back, because his back is actually taller than his head, about 9.5 inches tall, which can translate to 24 centimeters. Now for his articulation. Start with his head. It can rotate from side to side. He can look up and down, kind of tilt around. Pretty good range of motion. It's got a ball joint, and it moves very nicely. Shoulders also on a ball joint, goes out less than 90 degrees. They are giant. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got bicep cut below that. Single jointed elbow. They go in 90 degrees. There's no rotation here, but you really don't need it. The bicep cut is right there. His wrists can rotate, and they're hinged as well. He's got a ball joint in his torso. Rotate around, forward and back. Not a lot though. He's got traditional waist swivel. Rotate around again. Legs. They don't quite do the splits. Not too far off. Ball joints. They go forward that far. Back, not much. Thigh cut. Then he's got double jointed knees below that. And then his ankle. Forward and back. Tilt rock. No rotation. And of course, toe articulation. Here's an image of Blockbuster from the comics. This is his traditional look back in the 70s. You can see why this guy reminds you of Blockbuster. Here's Dr. Jekyll in his laboratory. He is perfecting this super serum. He runs out of patience, decides to test the serum himself. He drinks it. Shortly after, he's on the ground, writhing in agony. It seems to be working. He's getting larger. Dr. Jekyll is turning into Mr. Hyde. And you can see what emerges at the end. This giant Mr. Hyde Monster. And honestly, the DC villain Blockbuster, his origin is not that much different. Here's an image of a McFarlane DC Multiverse. 70s Batman and Robin. They're taking on Blockbuster in the streets of Gotham. A closer look at Batman and Robin looking up toward Blockbuster. And then here's a Mattel DC Universe Classics Batman and Robin taking on Blockbuster. I think he's a little bit more appropriately scale and style-wise better with the McFarlane DC Multiverse stuff. Now let's check him out. Next to some other action figures. Starting off with some other Dr. Jekyll Mr. Hyde figures. Here he is, next to the Hasbro Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Mr. Hyde. It's a large, oversized deluxe figure, but not nearly as large and oversized as this one. And here he is, next to a Mezco Silent Screamers Mr. Hyde. This is an interesting figure. You have Mr. Hyde on the outside, and you have a small Dr. Jekyll that actually fits inside of the Mr. Hyde body. So I mentioned in this video countless times that I'm going to be using this guy's Blockbuster in my overall action figure world. That's a Batman Rogue. Now let's check him out. Next to some other Blockbuster figures and other big, dumb, brute Batman Rogues. Here he is, next to my custom Blockbuster. My wife made this for me over 15 years ago. He looks way more like the traditional classic version of Blockbuster. This new one seems a little bit more sort of a realistic style. I think it fits in with the McFarlane figures pretty nicely. Both excellent releases. You can totally see why this guy reminds me of a giant, exaggerated Blockbuster. The original Blockbuster was named Mark Desmond. He was a chemist that experimented on himself, increasing his physical strength. But when he did that, he just became dumber every time. Became a big dumb brute. And then the second Blockbuster, his name was Roland Desmond. It was Mark Desmond's brother. He became Blockbuster 2, who was predominantly a Nightwing villain. Here's a custom of him. Here's this Mr. Hyde, next to a custom Amygdala. Amygdala is another big, dumb, giant Batman villain. And here's this Mr. Hyde, next to a custom Lunkhead. Lunkhead is another big, dumb, brute Batman villain. He's from Beware the Batman, the cartoon. And speaking of big, large, dumb Batman villain brutes, here's Blockbuster, next to several different large Killer Croc figures. Sometimes Clayface is portrayed as a big, dumb Batman brute, but other times he's portrayed with some intelligence. Sometimes Bane is also portrayed as a big, dumb Batman villain, but he's actually one of the most intelligent Batman rogues out there. He's one of the few that have figured out Bruce Wayne is Batman. Then, next to Solomon Grundy, another big, dumb Batman brute. Here's Blockbuster, next to King Shark. King Shark is not exactly a Batman villain, but he's a big dumb brute. Here's this loose collector, Mr. Hyde, next to a loose collector Vampirella. That is my only other loose collector figure that I have. She's pretty good quality, but I'd say I like this Blockbuster figure a whole lot more. And here's Mr. Hyde, next to a Crocker figure. This Crocker is another action figure that I used as a Batman villain and wasn't actually intended that way. He's just sort of a crocodile hunter. And the Blockbuster here is Mr. Hyde. But in my action figure world, we've got Blockbuster and Killer Croc, Batman villains. Now let's check them out, next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise, in case you don't know which lines you can mix them with. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller, and I'm going to include as many Batman figures as I can during these comparisons, because I'm going to be using him as a Batman villain. Here he is, next to some Jack-specific wrestling figures, and here he is, next to some DST or Deva Select toys. Then, next to some McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman figures. Here's Blockbuster, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles Batman figures. And here he is, standing with some NECA Batman figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 Collective Batman figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse Batman figures. And here he is, next to some Mafex Batman figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts Batman figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, this is a fantastic action figure. I imagine most people that are buying this are not going to use him for a Blockbuster like I am, but that's exactly what he's going to be in my action figure world. The sculpt and paint job are excellent. It looks absolutely fantastic. His articulation, it's good, kind of limited in a lot of areas, but he's a big, giant, bulky figure. It's hard to make that super articulated without breaking up the sculpt and making it look awful. His accessories, extra head, extra hands, the jacket, the hat, they're good, but this is my preferred look for him. If I had to rate this figure, I'm going to give him a very solid 8.5 out of 10. There are certain times that you think, oh, I can use this figure for this, or do this with this figure, and it doesn't really work out. This guy has surpassed my expectations in every possible way. He looks awesome, scaled perfect, has that realistic kind of look to him. I like it a lot. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.